Well, hello. Welcome to another episode of What Nobody Told Me After 65. It is your lady on the go, lady in the know, Miss Info. You have reached the Information Nation, where knowledge is shared and wisdom exchanged for the betterment of a people. Yes, I'm back. I was at the beach earlier today, and I did post a little bit. My great-grandson running around. My granddaughter was there. We had a good time. And I do have a broadcast for you for tonight. So, let's get started. I want to talk to you about the Black Prince of Boxing, Peter Jackson. For those of you who don't know, boxing is my favorite subject, my favorite sport. After that, football. And I am a diehard Steelers fan. Yes, I am. But heavyweight boxing, oh man, drives me crazy. But of late, I don't know who even the players are. I didn't know anything. So I was really grateful to have this opportunity to dig into it. And I found out some things. So let's get started. Peter Jackson, he was born July 3rd, 1861 in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So he wasn't exactly an American. All right. He died July 13, 1901 in Australia. So he was an Australian heavyweight boxer. He had an impressive international career of 105 fights, 57 wins, 5 losses, and 29 of the wins were by knockout. Now, you have to remember, these were the days when you boxed until you dropped. I mean, it wasn't nothing here around round 30, round 40. And no gloves. So, Jackson won the Australian heavyweight title in 1886 in the 30th round. Woo! He was mentored by another boxing great, the Black Diamond, Jack Dowridge. He was born in Barbados. Something about those island guys and using their fists. But U.S. Virgin Islands, Barbados, 2 heavyweight greats. Now, Jackson left for America 2 years after securing the heavyweight title in Australia. He was considered one of the best scientific boxers of his time. That was due to his footwork and his technical proficiency. Now, they using terms like that back in the day. I mean, technical proficiency and fancy footwork. Muhammad Ali, I think about fancy footwork and technical ability. But boxing's origins trace back to prehistoric times, believe it or not. There is visual evidence that shows 2 men with fists wrapped in some kind of cloth punching each other. This was around the 3rd millennium BCE, before the Common Era, in Sumeria and Egypt. Now, according to Wikipedia, the first recorded boxing match that took place in Britain was in 1681. Bare knuckle fist fighting, and the rules followed ancient Greek contests. So there were no rounds, no penalties. You just fought until neither of you were able to continue, or one acknowledged defeat by holding up one finger. These contests lasted for hours. Finally, in 1857, 1857, the Queensberry rules were adopted, which are in use even today. And here's what they state. For it to be a fair stand-up boxing match, you have to be in a ring that is at least 24 feet. 24 feet around. No wrestling or hugging. Rounds are 3 minutes and 1 minute between each round. If either man falls through weakness or some other malady, he must get up unaided and continue until the 3-minute bell sounds. So if he trips or gets knocked down in that 3 minutes and he falls at 2 minutes and 40 seconds, he got to get back up by himself and stay up for the full 3 minutes. A man hanging on the ropes with his toes off the ground is considered down. There are no seconds or any other person allowed in the ring during the rounds. Gloves must be new and of the best quality. Should it burst or come off, it is replaced at the referee's satisfaction. A man on one knee is considered down. All other respects of the contest are governed by the revised rules of the London prize ring. Now, I didn't look those rules up because nowadays you pretty much know, what does it go, 12 or 15 rounds, 3 minutes each with 1 minute in between each round. It's pretty standard, right? So let's talk about who some of the boxing greats were and a little bit of information about them. John Arthur Johnson, otherwise known as Jack Johnson. He was born in 1878 and he died in 1946. He was called the Galveston Giant. He was the first black world heavyweight boxing champion from 1908 to 1915. Unfortunately, white women were his undoing. He just couldn't stay away from them. That was Jack Johnson. Now, technically, the first heavyweight winner was George Dixon. However, he wasn't American. He was Canadian born. And they mentioned him because he was something else. He was a force to be reckoned with. They called him Little Chocolate. He won the title in the 18th round, and he knocked out Nook Wallace in 1890. How about Jersey Joe Walcott? He started boxing in 1930, but he didn't gain a title for 21 years. Why? Because he was black. And this was definitely during the Jim Crow era. He became world heavyweight champion when he knocked out Jim Ferris. And how about on July 4th, 1910, the heavyweight king, Jack Johnson, knocked out the great white the great white hope, James Jeffries. Remember that? That was called the fight of the century. It was unforgettable. And he was fighting not only for himself, but for the country. Everybody was at the radio. I wasn't born then, but I've watched documentaries, and since I am a heavyweight boxing fan, I looked at some of the old footage. I mean, to tell you, that was the fight of the century. And of course he won. How about Joe Louis? He held the longest single title reign of any boxer in history. He was called the Brown Bomber. He knocked out James Braddock cold in the 8th round. And I'm going to tell you about Henry Jackson Jr. That's his real name. But he fought under the name of Henry Armstrong. He was born December of 1912 and he died in October of 1988. And he had a total of 181 fights. The bad boy. He was the first fighter of any color to hold world titles in 3 weight classes simultaneously: featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight. The only fighter. Now let's talk about Sugar Ray Robinson. Yeah. On February the 14th of 1951, Sugar Ray Robinson made Jack LaMotta his bloody Valentine. Yeah, it was Valentine's Day. It was such a savage beating that it has become known as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Yeah, February 14th, 1951. And who can forget Cassius Clay, better known as Muhammad Ali? In 1967, he refused to enlist in the army, not once, not twice, but 3 times. He said, I ain't fighting. And as punishment, the United States government had him arrested. He was convicted, fined, stripped of his world heavyweight titles, more than one, and suspended from boxing for 3.5 years. This was at the height of his career. This was how this man made a living. But he stayed true to his beliefs and he stayed true to his faith. At the time, he was a Muslim. He died a Muslim, so he was a Muslim. And he was not going to war. Now, he and Smoking Joe Frazier mixed it up in 1971 at the Madison Square Gardens in New York City. This epic fight transcended boxing forever. And on a global scale, the whole world was watching this fight. This also ignited the sport's greatest rivalry between 2 of its finest champions. Muhammad Ali and Smoking Joe Frazier were enemies, for real. Yeah. In 1974, Muhammad Ali stunned George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle. They were in Zaire, and it happened in the 8th round, a knockout. Now, I watched that fight. That was something to see. How about present-day inductees into the Hall of Fame? There is a boxing Hall of Fame, And here's a few names that made it into the Hall of Fame. Well, we know Muhammad Ali made it, but here's some people that you may not have known made it. Sugar Ray Leonard, Mike Tyson, Bernard Hopkins, Floyd Mayweather Jr., and Roy Jones Jr. There's quite a few others that made it. Also, women were inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame. But that's another story for another time. So, how much do they earn? You put your life on the line, getting hit all about your head like that. It's health risks. But how much do they really earn? And how long can they take that? You know, it is a short-lived career if you survive. Contracts usually dictate earnings. The purse is paid, win, lose, or disqualified. Because they've done the advertising and the hype and the commercials and all the stuff that they've done to get the purse nice and fat. Once the contract is signed, it's sealed. If you win, this is what you get according to the purse. If you lose, this is what you end up with. And if you're disqualified, this is what you end up with. Of course, the lion's share goes to the victor. We know that. So, whatever the purse is worth, the person who wins gets the biggest amount. So right now, who are some of the highest earning professional boxers? And these are people that I really don't know. Number 1, Anthony Joshua. He's a heavyweight, and he was paid $250 million. By the way, when Muhammad Ali passed not too long ago, he was only worth $80 million. This young man made $250 million already. Canelo Alvarez, he's a middleweight. He made $200 million. Tyson Fury, they call him the Gypsy King. I gotta look some of these guys up. He is and has held the heavyweight World Boxing Council title since 2020. He made $150 million. And Oleksandr Usyk, he's a Ukrainian heavyweight from Ukraine, and he made $83.8 million. This ain't peanuts. When you think about the career that Muhammad Ali had, maybe lots of money passed through his hands, but his estate was only estimated to be worth $80 million when he passed. These guys, they have far surpassed that. So, why is this important or even noteworthy? Because in all the sports in the past decade, there has been some type of scandal or unsportsmanlike conduct in the last 10 years, with the exception of boxing for as far as I can recall. And it really does my heart good, because this is truly the final frontier where a man can be a man. He can best his opponent fair and square, come out of the ring a true champion. I don't care what color you are. If you beat the brakes off of that other dude, you deserve the title, and you get it. And you get paid. Listen, I know it's been short and sweet, but I'm just getting back, taking my time, doing things that I enjoy doing. I want to thank you for listening. And remember, you don't know what you don't know. You better ask somebody. Take care.